Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new Harrow Augment called Lasting Covenant. This augment allows you to extend the duration of the crit chance bonus that you get from Covenant when you get a headshot kill. So this is actually an insane augment if you know how to use it. Like, if you're using it right, you can actually get the duration of your Covenant crit chance bonus up to 55 seconds, at least with the build that I'm about to show you today. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the build. Normally, with this build, where I have Lasting Covenant, I would have Stretch, but because I don't value range that much on Harrow, because I view him more as a selfish sort of healer slash get my energy back type of Warframe, just like a self-sustaining frame basically. That's how I play him, like a lot less team-oriented. I play him more selfishly, so I went ahead and took off Stretch, which basically means that my teammates are going to have to be closer to me to get the healing or the energy bonuses that I get whenever I kill enemies or get headshots or whatever. So this is more of a stay close to me and we'll dish out a lot of damage. So you can go ahead and maybe swap, a duration mod or something out if you so choose to, but I don't know, I just thought not having Stretch on there made more sense and it allowed me to be more of a selfish solo Harrow player. So that's what this build is basically built around. So yeah, we have Intensify, Transient Fortitude, Power Drift, and this is going to buff up the effects of all of our abilities. We have Prime Flow for our energy sustain, Constitution for duration along with prime continuity, Streamline for the efficiency so we can cast our abilities a little bit more, and then Vitality for our health, and then finally Lasting Covenant, and then Cruise Projection in this case because we're going up against armored enemies, and we just want to deal more damage to them overall, so making them have 30% less armor is always good. So basically what you're going to want to do, or what I'm going to demonstrate to you guys, use a crit weapon because crit weapons are always good, and I guess let's use actually the Dread. The Dread would make more sense because it's like, okay, well, we're just going to one-shot the enemies anyway, so this is my Hunter Munitions build, so yep, it's going to deal some damage over time as well. Pretty balanced, pretty cool. Let's just go ahead and change the colors up. Awesome. And what I'm going to do is first I'm going to spawn in Butchers, basically just to demonstrate the effect of the Covenant and how it works. So what I usually do as a Harrow player is get all my energy some way, maybe energy pads, whatever. And what I would do is I would chain up all the enemies to boost up my shields, like so. So we have 1,650. We go all the way up to 2,850, I believe, whenever I do it right. So let's go ahead. Yeah, so 2,850. And what this is going to allow me to do is this is going to allow me to cast my second ability. And my second ability is going to buff up my fire rate and my reload speed and stuff like that. So if we go ahead and sacrifice all 2,850 of our shields, you'll see that we have a 60-second duration on our second ability right there. Then I'd cast my free, channel it to about 10 energy per kill or whatever. Well, we got 11. And then I'd go ahead and cast my 4. And whenever I cast my 4, I would take all the damage that I need to take. And then by the time that my 4, the invulnerability stage, is ran out, I would go ahead, grip up all the enemies, chain them up, do my thing. And then this allows me to get the headshots. Now pay attention to the timer in the top right-hand corner or the bottom right-hand corner when we get headshot kills. You'll see that it just increases every time we get a headshot kill. So of course, we're dealing insane damage because we have the fire rate buff and the reload speed buff from our Dread, but you can see how far we can get this crit chance bonus up to. So it's up to 55 seconds, and it's basically just going to stay there, right? So this is great because this is a team-wide buff, so any teammates that are close to you or in the area of effect based off your power range is going to have this this crit bonus, 50% crit chance bonus for 55 seconds. So whenever it comes to taking down really damaging enemies such as heavy gunners, for example, so if we just go ahead and spawn them all in, I'm going to chain them up and do my thing here. So let's get our shields up and whip ourselves and get that buff up, and we can just kind of fire at their head and do our stuff and kill them super fast and rinse and repeat and just kill these guys insanely quick. So it's a team-wide buff and it's insane, and you can have a shit ton of duration on it, but it solely relies, in my opinion, on you making sure that you get those headshots on the lower level mobs, because as you can see, because we're going up against higher level enemies, my status effects are doing more work than the actual initial shot from my arrow. So you're going to want to make sure that you're keeping your buff up by killing the lower level enemies and then making sure that your teammates are focusing on those higher level enemies. But yeah, this Harrow Augment is absolutely insane in my opinion, and I think you'd be a fool not to pick it up, especially if you like playing Harrow. If you're the type of Harrow player, so let's say you're playing a defense mission in the Void, if you're the type of Harrow player who likes to choose an area and kind of just hold it down, getting headshot after headshot after headshot with Covenant up and keeping that buff up for your entire team for a large majority of the mission, that's going to be just a massive DPS increase to every single player in your team, and it's going to make the mission a lot easier because 50% extra crit chance is like, you know, that's not a small change. That's something that's pretty relevant and pretty drastic if you can keep it up. So, you know, I definitely recommend jumping into the Simulacrum, spawning in Butchers, because these are like low-level enemies, which are very common in defense missions, survival missions, etc. That you can just practice getting headshots on. Maybe use a bow, maybe use your Soma, whatever. Just make sure you're using a weapon which will allow you to get precision kills, right? So instead of using something like a shotgun, unless you're confident hitting headshots with a shotgun, if you want to keep this buff up, use a bow and arrow, use a rifle that doesn't have heavy caliber on it, like Hunter Munitions or whatever, and make sure that you are, you know, you're hitting those headshots and just allowing your team to keep the buff up. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys see. So you need to store at least 2,000 damage, take at least 2,000 damage in the invulnerability stage, and then you have 50% crit chance and then 200% on headshots. So here you go. Here is the insane stacking time on the Covenant, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. So go ahead, chain them all up again, make sure you get those headshots, and you'll see that it does actually cap out at 55 seconds, 56 seconds for me anyway, and just insane DPS increase. Harrow is by far one of my favorite frames in terms of design. I just wish he would have been out sooner whenever soloing things like T4 survival or whatever was still like the popular thing to do and was still very rewarding. But anyway, that is pretty much all there is to talk about whenever it comes to the augment. I definitely recommend picking it up. Not too sure which syndicate actually gives you it, but it's an insane augment. I'm going to have videos covering the Nidus augment and the Titania augment coming up in the next 2 days, so just wanted to cover the Harrow one first because, obviously, if you can't tell already, the Harrow one is my favorite. We still have the buff, by the way, just letting you know it's 19 seconds right now. But, you know, crit chance buff, very prevalent. Definitely pick up the augment. It's a no-brainer for me, at least. And it might make playing Harrow a little bit more rewarding for players who think that they're not necessarily helping their entire team. If you're able to keep that buff up and just give your entire team a massive DPS increase with that crit buff, then pretty worth it. Some people might say, well, oh, I can just use Banshee to do that with Resonance or whatever. Well, that's up to them. If you want to play Harrow, if you want to keep yourself alive, you want to carry your team, then Harrow is definitely the frame for a player who wants to carry, keep their entire team alive, revive them, heal them, give them energy, deal a lot of damage, just, you know, be that one guy, that one team player who can make big plays and really save the objective and stuff like that, because he's got CC, he's got healing, he's got energy regen, he's got damage buffing. Only thing he needs is like extended invulnerability, even though he already has it on his 4, and then he'd be like almost the perfect frame. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead, hit that like button below. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.